Today, we're going to create a simple task manager and timetable. We're going to rebuild a template that consists of two databases, a task database and a timetable. Inside of the task database, we're going to have a pipeline, a weekly view, and a calendar. And inside of that timetable, we're also going to have a weekly view where you can manage and create different work sessions through the week that is connected to your tasks. But we're also going to create another database view and timetable for next week, so you can plan work sessions for next week. We're also going to create a more focused timetable that allows you to plan for specific hours a day, in addition to other database views, and we're going to put it all together inside of this simple dashboard homepage. And you can get started building with me simply by opening up a blank page and that template down below for some formula help. What we're going to do is recreate this template called Simple Tasks. Let's go over to an empty page and we'll continuously reference that template. So let's create the first two databases, /page. Let's start with tasks. Maybe call it my tasks. And let's make it a calendar. Go down to new database. And let's begin with configuring some properties. So to do that, let's just add a random item in the calendar, open as page, and this mock task can be called conduct market research. With the calendar database, we have a date and tags. So we'll keep the date and just rename it to deadline. For tags, let's rename it to status and change the type of property to select. A select property is just a drop-down menu, so we can add some options to the drop-down menu. So let's add the first option as not started. Change the color to red. We can add another option even called idea, another called in progress. So idea would be before not started. Change this color to yellow and add another option, completed. Change that to green. Great. So now when we select this cell, we can choose between these options. Another property, let's just keep it as a text property and rename it to description. Gather, competitor, strategy, and find valuable keywords. Another property I want to create is a formula. And I'm going to communicate this formula with my deadline. And what I'm going to do is return a weekday. Rename weekday. And in type, let's go down to advanced and formula. Inside of this pop-up window, we do have an option to edit. And let's say format date. So that is a function you can use. And inside the parentheses, let's say deadline. That's what we want to format. Comma. And I want to format it as a weekday, which will be 4 lowercase d's. Great. What I can also do inside of this page is create a template. And it's not going to be a complicated template. I just want to add a neat icon. So let's say new task. And because I want to replicate that template, every task has this arrow as its icon. So I'm going to go to this website called super.so/icons. I'll leave a link down below. So I'm going to look for an arrow that looks like the one in the template, copy it to my clipboard, and in this template I can select add icon, go to link, and paste that link inside. Submit. So I'm going to go back. I can click on conduct market research and select new task. Now inside of this calendar, firstly, I'm going to rename it just to calendar. And in properties, I can show status. So we also have that pipeline, right? So let's create a view and make it a board view. This will create that pipeline setup. And let's color the columns just like in the template. And what I can do is go to group by and arrange in what order the select options are going to be in. Not started, in progress, and then completed. I can also go back, press done, and go to properties. And I want to show the description and the deadline. One last thing when it comes to pipelines like this. Firstly, I can hide a new status. Over time, as you drag cards to completed, it will pile up sort of infinitely. What we want to do is maintain this completed column by going to Filter, Status, and let's go to Advanced Filter. We're going to turn the first condition into a group and say status is idea or not started or in progress. And let's turn this one into a group as well and say status is completed. And so there's a condition for our completed column that it must be either 1 week ago or later. So any tasks that are completed and are over a week old are going to disappear. So let's go to deadline is on or after 1 week ago. And what you want here is not and, but or. Great. So we drag this over to complete and change the deadline to over 1 week ago, let's say the 13th, it should disappear. And what we're going to do is create another view to collect all of the older tasks. And we can also change the name of board to pipeline. And in the template, I have that over to the side here. Let's look at the template. And we do have another view for tasks by week. So this is where all of the older tasks are going to land. We can label this view as task archive. So it's going to be a table. We're going to call it tasks by week or archive. Done. Let's look at the properties. I do want to see everything. So I'm going to bring some of this in. Wrap the description only. Wrap column. Bring status in. And then what I can do is go to the database menu, go to group, and group by deadline. So here we're creating toggles, and we're hiding entries inside of those toggles. So as your task database becomes larger and larger, we can hide away tasks we don't really need anymore, or maybe you want to look at later or resurface, but you don't want to see in your pipeline. So let's hide no deadline. We can do relative, date by relative, so last 7 days, or by week. Let's do by week and hide empty groups. You can see the weekday as well, and we can sort by deadline. So we can add another task within this week, and it'll actually give us an automatic deadline of the first day of the week, which will be a Sunday in this case, the 15th. And if I change it to the 18th, it'll give me Wednesday, and it'll, of course, slot down below Monday. So it's another place where you can add tasks for the week. So let's create that timetable /page, name it timetable, and we're going to replicate that timeline. So let's go down to database and choose timeline to start. Add new database. So what we want to do to replicate the timetable, this is a view for this week. We want to change how we're viewing this timetable from month to week. Let's delete 2 of these cards and just take a look at this one. So I can drag this into just Tuesday the 17th or drag it over to Saturday the 21st. What I can also do is sort this by date ascending so that the next page and the next page and the next page going down will be in ascending order. So if I have a session at 7 a.m., it will come before the session at 10 a.m. So let's go into the card and, just like in tasks, configure these database properties. Firstly, date. We're going to rename this to work time. because each one of these cards is a working session that we're going to connect to tasks. So let's rename this to session. And going back, what we can also do is create a filter inside of this view that says name always contains session. This is, of course, optional. So whenever I create a new page, it will be called session. Back to that card, let's change assign, rename to done. Let's just make a simple done checkbox. Type checkbox. And for status, let's keep it a select property, drop-down menu, and just rename it to result. So what is the result of this work session? Did you underachieve? Hit a roadblock? Again, this property is more optional. Overachieve? Or let's add another option for just simply being productive. Now let's connect this session to a task. What task are you working on? Let's create a new property called task. And for this, we're going to create an advanced property that is a relation. This is how you create relationships between databases. It will prompt you to choose what you want to connect to, in this case, my tasks. And now that this connection is made, I have the option to remotely name the backlink relation inside of my tasks. So I'm going to toggle this, and you'll see in the preview below that now I'm connected to tasks, and tasks is connected back to Timetable. And the relation I've just created inside of tasks is going to be called sessions. Let's add that relation. Quickly take a look at my tasks, and you'll see that that sessions relation is backlinking here. Let's quickly hide this property. You don't really need to see it. And go back to Timetable. Let's continue with creating these properties. So the next thing I can do with this relation is actually grab information from my tasks database. So let's add another property and rename it to task deadline. So now I can automatically grab whatever deadline my task is. This will help me determine what the work time of this session should be. So type, we're going to do the rollup. A rollup just requires a relation. So let's select that relation, which is task. And the property I want to grab from tasks, let's grab deadline, and just show original. So I will say that showing original is going to give you a text property. If you want to return a date property, I recommend choosing earliest date or latest date because this will return an actual date. But we're just going to do show original. Now in this session, I'm going to work on conducting market research. I'm just going to click through, and you'll see that the task deadline shows up. So my work time should be maybe the 13th, show an end date, and I'm going to include time. So this will give us the date, the start time, and the end time of this working session. Let's just plan for it and say 8 a.m. to 9:45. And what I might do as well is change this closer to today. So let's put this in the 21st of May and change the task deadline for this example to the 23rd. Great, so when we're done, what I want to do is calculate how many hours I worked during this working session. So to do that, I'm going to create another formula called hours, and the type formula. What I can do is edit this formula only if the done checkbox is checked. Find the number of hours between the start of work time and the end of work time. So let's say if, I'm going to click done in properties, then find the date between, so this is a function, the end, inside of end, let's click work time, comma, between the end and the start, and it's good to put end first of work time, comma, I want to find the minutes in between, otherwise 0. The reason why I want minutes is because I want an exact amount of hours. What I want to do after minutes is just say divided by 60, and it'll give me 1.75 hours. Let's round this so it doesn't give me a crazy decimal. I'm going to nest all of this inside of the round function, put 100 times inside, Then outside, put divided by 100. And that will be the final formula. Now, if I go back, this timeline view, I'm going to rename to this week. I want to see only sessions within this week between Monday and Sunday, which requires me to create another formula called week. So let's add a property called week, type formula, and the formula looks like this. If I format the date of work time as a capital W, which indicates the week number from Monday to Sunday, if this equals the same condition, but instead of work time, I'm going to input now, then comma, this week in quotations. Another if statement, if I format the date of now to this week, and I also nest this inside of the toNumber function, so I'm going to turn this week number into an actual number, and then add 1, so next week equals the week number in work time, which I'm also going to nest inside of toNumber. Then return a text called next week. Otherwise, just give me a blank space. I'm going to close out both of these if statements with 2 closing parentheses. You can pause the video here and copy the formula. I will also have this available to copy and paste from a clipboard inside of the final template. So this is landing in this week, May 21st. Right now it's the 22nd, a Sunday, so yesterday would be this week. Now if it were tomorrow, then it will say next week. Great. So what I can do is hide this property always. We need one more formula. Let's go back to Timetable, and you'll notice that we can view the start time within these session cards with these cute icons. Those indicate what time of the day this work time is, either the morning, the afternoon, or at night. You'll notice that the night emoji is a moon. Morning is a flower, and circle is the afternoon. Let's create a property called start time, type formula, and this will be the last formula. So let's edit this. What we're going to do is say if the hour, these are hours between 0 and 23, of work time is less than 12, then it's going to be the morning. So we're going to have an empty space for that emoji, plus we're going to format the start time. So format date of the start of work time as hours, colon, minutes, and A, or we can just say LT. LT is a lot shorter. Then let's say, comma, if the hour of work time is less than 17 or 5 p.m. Another empty quotes will fill in that emoji. Plus, we're going to just copy this here. Sorry, my sidebar keeps popping up. And paste it over. And then the last if statement is if the hour is in the evening. So let's say the hour of work time is less than 24. Then empty quotes for that moon emoji, plus paste in that formatted start date again, and then comma for if none of these apply, we're going to have a empty space, and then close these 3 if statements with 3 closing parentheses. Again, you can pause the screen and copy this. So let's insert those emojis. I'm just going to grab them from my template actually. Down here in formulas, we have a flower for the morning, a circle for the afternoon, and a moon for the night. So we have flower for 8 a.m. Let's change this to 3 p.m. A circle, and 6 p.m. we have a moon. And drag this up here. Let's go back to our database view so I can add new sessions to yesterday or today. What I want to do is view inside of my table what task I'm working on for that session. So to do this, I'm going to go to the database menu and go to properties. We can configure the properties we see in the timeline and in the table. We can also determine if we see the table. In table, I want to see task and hours. Hide name. Let's go back, adjust these columns, and now I'll be able to see exactly what task I'm working on for the corresponding session. Also, in properties and timeline, I want to see the done checkbox so I can quickly select, and I want to see that start time, just like in the template. What you'll also notice is whenever I create a new session, it automatically says 12 a.m. But what if I added something to this formula? Where whenever I add just a regular session, instead of saying 12 a.m., maybe this is just a regular task you want to do for the entire day. Let's add an if statement at the beginning here that specifically says if the hour of work time equals 0, then in quotations, let's say star emoji all day. And then put a comma at the end. And then another close parentheses at the end, because now we have 4 if statements. Let's go back. And instead of saying the time, it just says all day. If I want to quickly configure what time I want the session at, I can right-click on the card, go to Edit Property and Work Time, create an end date and include time, and say 11 a.m. to 11, maybe 40 a.m. And then click out and you'll see 11 a.m. session has been created. When I'm done, it will calculate how many hours that session was, and I can quickly select what task I want to work on, or I can create a new task through this window. So I can say create shortcut database. And now I've created a new entry inside of my task database remotely. So if I click through, I can even select my new task template and create a deadline, status, description, and go to my task pipeline. Pretty cool. So we'll have to configure that filter. Right now we just have name contains session. Let's create an advanced filter that says name contains session, and the week formula we made contains this week. So now when I create a new page maybe on Monday for next week, I'll be able to configure it, but if I click away, it will not show up in this view. So let's create another view for next week. Let's click on this week and duplicate. When you duplicate, all filters and sorts and everything will duplicate over. I'm going to rename it to next week. And I want to keep everything as is. I just want to go to the filter and change week contains this week to next week. And now I'll see that session for tomorrow. And I can maybe change the time from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. and select a task here. And it's a circle because it's in the afternoon. Let's create another one. So let's duplicate again for today. Again, I can change the filter. Instead of week, let's just delete that and add another rule that says work time is today. And this session here is in today. And you'll notice that the red line is always in today. And if you click today, you can kind of center your line in the screen. What I also want to do is change week to hours. Click today. Right now it is 11:42 a.m. So I can change this around to the specific time range inside of this view, maybe stretch it out to 12:45 p.m. And I can select done from here as well, and it'll show me how many hours I've worked. The last two views I want to create is one, a calendar. Done. And here I can see my sessions inside of a larger monthly calendar. I can also show in properties maybe the done checkbox. And in the same way, I can filter name contains session, just in case you want to add sessions through here, and sort by work time ascending. And lastly, let's do something similar to my tasks, where we had tasks by week. So that's grabbing all of the older tasks and putting them in one place. Let's go back to Timetable and create a view called Index that does the same thing here. Create a list, and in properties, maybe we can see work time, the done checkbox, and maybe even the result. And then again, let's group. We could group by anything. We could group by the work time again, and date by every month, so we can group all of our sessions by month. Or you could group by task, and maybe hide empty groups. Now, if you choose to group by tasks, this could be really interesting because you can actually create new sessions that automatically connect to that task. You'll see task. Let's also sort by work time. And what you can also do, you'll see this number here next to the task. You can configure this number to show you a certain calculation. So we could find the sum of the total hours worked for this task. If I click done for this next session, you'll see that 1.75 turns into 2.75. But I think for this index, I want to group just by month. And hide empty groups. So if you're interested in seeing the total number of hours that you've spent on a particular task, you can also do this. Let's go back to the tasks and click on any one of these tasks. Open this up as a page, and we can create a roll-up through the tasks. So create a new property called total hours, and the type will be a roll-up under advanced. Again, roll-ups just require a relation. In this case, we have sessions. And the property we're going to grab is hours. Now in this calculate configuration, we can find the sum. That'll give you the sum of the total hours. Maybe we can hide property when empty. Great, so we pretty much have everything in place. Now what we can do is create this nice home page. So firstly, we do have links at the top. Let's start with that. So we want one link for schedule sessions, just a quick link. Another one is going to be for today's timeline. The next is going to be for my task pipeline and then session index. So we're going to create columns out of these. Just drag one block next to the other. We'll create 4 different columns. Now to create this quick link, what I want to do is have schedule sessions connect to this database view for this week. So I'm going to select it and copy link to view, and this can be the case for any one of these views. Highlight the text and just paste in the link. Today's timeline, I can go to Timetable again and go to today. Again, copy link to view and highlight and paste in. My task pipeline from my tasks, copy link to view, highlight and paste, and session index, which is from Timetable and that last view we made. Copy link to view, and again, highlight and paste. Now what I also have is this image and a link to today's sessions. So I'm going to go /image. You can put whatever image you'd like there. More of a preference for the design though. I'm going to have an empty block and just drag it next to it to create that column. You can adjust that column as well. So to link to a database that already exists, you can do a few things. You can either go through the block menu and go /linked database, or if you already have your original database on hand here, which I do, I want to link to Timetable, so I'm just going to select the block menu, copy link, and paste. and I can create a linked view this way. So once I create that linked view, I can choose between an existing view we already made from index to calendar to today, this week, next week, or an empty view. I'm going to select today since we already have that filter there. But I don't want it to be a timeline. I want it to be a list. And I don't want to show the database title. Now what I can also do is view in properties. I don't want to view work time, but I do want to view start time and done. Nice. So we have the filter where name contains session and work time is today. So what I can do here is now add new sessions through my homepage. So I'm going to add new, and work time will automatically start at today and say all day. That's before I add an end date and include time. Let's say 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm going to select a task to work on. And I'll save here at 1 p.m. And when I select done, what I can also do is right click, go to edit property, and maybe add a result. Productive. So now I'll have that inside of my result. Looks like my task doesn't have a deadline. Quickly select through that and give it a deadline. So that's what we're seeing in the template. I also have it labeled sessions today, which I can go to the title of the view and rename to sessions today. And I'm going to drag an image I already have right there. Now below that, we have a linked database to tasks to quickly add some brainstorming ideas. Remember from tasks, we do have in the pipeline idea. To do this, let's again copy the link to tasks, paste, create linked view, and I want to look at just a new empty view, table, and we can wrap columns and toggle off the title. Done. And for properties, let's hide all and then just show description. So what I want to be able to do is just add new ideas and give them brief descriptions. And these ideas are going to be under the idea tag. So I'm going to create a filter here called status is idea. And that's all you'll need. I can also rename table to give this some context to brainstorm ideas. So when I create a new idea for an article, and then give it a description. When I go into my task pipeline, which you can also do from up here, I'll see my new idea for an article. And that is the final result. So let's just go right into the outro. I hope you guys found that useful. I really enjoyed creating it. I haven't created a nice little task manager template in a long time. And of course, all relevant links down below, including the website for those minimal icons. So I will see you guys the rest of the week on Twitter and next time with a new video. I'll see you then.